I'm just outside enjoying a beautiful Beltane morning, and I thought I would get on here and share with you something that I'm doing, something that I'm making. I started yesterday. I'm having so much fun with it. I thought you might like to see it. I'm going to be writing a little more about Beltane and some of my feelings about Beltane in my blog, Bird in the Crone, probably about tomorrow. But for today, I'm just going to do a few simple things because we have some friends coming over in a little while, and we're just having a little bit of a quiet Beltane this year. In years past, we've been very fortunate to do some really fun things, some more maybe traditional things. We had just a few years ago, we did a maypole dance with some friends, which was fun because we hadn't done that in quite a few years, and that is always fun. I danced less than I played. I helped with the music for that, and I was able to dance a few times, but it was quite a long bit of dancing for me. But that was very fun. Often we have gone in the past to some rituals and shared that with friends, but this year it's just quiet, just as quiet. So I thought I would just be outside, and that's really a part of Beltane for me, to be outside and enjoy nature as much as I can. And one of the things I'm doing this year, I added to my altar were these little smudge wands. I don't know if you can see them here. They're just sage that I have picked from my garden, and I've added some flowers, some flower petals to the wands. I don't know. I hope you can see. I can't see you at all. I mean the camera at all, because the glare is coming. But I love the way, first of the way they look with the flower petals in them. And also, it adds a little bit of special magic to the magical properties of sage for me, because all of these blossoms came from my garden this year, from my own yard. And if you've been following my story at all, you may know that we've had some little bit of bad luck with our garden last year, and we don't have much rain here in California. We tend to get a lot of it in the winter, like 2 weeks of rain and then no rain. This year we really had a very, what you would think of as a traditional spring, where we had some rain and then beautiful weather and then some more rain and beautiful weather. So everything is just growing like crazy. So we had a lot of blooms and blossoms that I had. None of these are really particularly magical blooms that you would think of as traditional. I mean, some of them are ones that, yes, I do use in incense blends. I have some rose in here and things, and just different, some lavender and some, I have some honeysuckle, and what else do I have in here? Anyway, but it's just general for me. Adding the flowers to the wands at this time of the year is just fun to do. Normally, making smudge wands out of the sage is something that I do on a full moon, and I have this growing out in my front yard, and I just cut it this morning. And I usually just make, on the full moon, I just make the normal smudge wands, just like this, like you see all the time. Oh, I have to cut here a minute. Okay, this is what I normally make, wands like this of different sizes. Sometimes they're big and sometimes they're small, depending on the cutting that I get. And it's just something that I do as a part of my normal routine, housekeeping we call it, on the full moon. I don't do it every full moon, but I do it as I think of it. As the need arises, I can get it. But anyway, this is what I normally use, just plain. And I usually use different color thread to sometimes associated with the Sabbath, but not always. Sometimes it's just what I have. Thank you. I had to cut here because I asked my husband to get me something that I forgot to bring out, which I want to share with you in just a few minutes. But for right now, I'm going to show you. For today, I'm going to be adding some flowers, some little flowers to this wand, and I'll just show you how I do it. Let me put my glasses on. It's nothing that you can't figure out on your own, I'm sure, and you might have a better way to do it. I first of all use, this is just mercerized cotton that I use. This is 5/2 weight. I have it on home because in all different colors, because this is what I use. I weave with this, so I work my looms with this. So it doesn't matter what you use. You can use any kind of string or any kind of yarn, really. But I find that you really want to use natural. You want to make sure that you use a natural cord, a natural substance, because you get a synthetic yarn, and it's gonna burn. Whatever you put around your sage, or whatever it is that you're using. You don't have to use sage, remember, to smudge with. There's a lot of things you can use, but whenever you're putting it around whatever it is you're going to burn, this is going to burn too. And if you use a synthetic yarn or something like that, you're going to get a melt. You're not going to get a burn. It's really kind of dangerous. I have a thing about it because I'm around fire a lot, live fire, and we don't ever want clothing of that kind around fire, because it'll melt and it'll stick to you if it gets near you. So we don't want that. So anyway, there's different ways to do it. Now, normally when I'm making these, the plain ones, I will go midway in the string and I will tie a knot, and then I will go up the sage, pulling it in tight as I can and tightening it. But this way, since I'm going to be adding different blooms to this, I want to be able to, on the first pass, I'm not going to get them in the way I want them. I want them in secure enough that they're going to dry. They're going to dry well in the bundle, but I also want to be able to see them. You know, they're beautiful. I want to see the pretty colors. Right, so you can see, I can see the reds and the purples here, and the greens, and here's the yellows and reds. I want to be able to see that. So it's going to take a couple passes to get it secure. So I'm going to tie this time I'm going to tie down on the end. Okay. Just enough to leave a little bit of a tail to tie when I finish. And I'm also going to go, I like to go for my tie above the first set of leaves. I could have done that first. I can show you what I mean. Here's my string right here, and here are the leaves, the first set of leaves up here. I hope you can see that. Ah, flapping the wings, because that way then the string won't pull off the end. Okay, so I'm just going to tie a simple knot at the end. Again, leaving enough string on the end just to tie, just enough of a tail to tie. And I'm just going to tie a simple knot. It's amazing how these simple tasks become very complicated when you have a camera on you and you know that you don't want to mess it up. My fingers become all weird. Okay, just a simple knot. And then I'm going to start, and this time the things that I want to tuck in, I have a beautiful morning glory blossom that I took. I have a head from my lavender. It's not completely opened up yet, but oh, I love lavender. And here's a little rose from my little rose bush, little tea rose. It is an old-fashioned rose that smells so good, you know. I don't know what they do to the roses today, that they take the smell out, and why they would want to. Anyway, that's what I'm going to try to put in this little bundle, okay? So I'm going to just try to get everybody out of there that might be in there, because whoever's in there is going to stay in there. And then I will just start to lay it in, trying to, you know, I can add it as I go. This one I think I'm going to go up a little way before I add this because I have a short stem. But I'm just going to start tucking in the bottom leaves. And take the tie, and I'm going to go around. And I'm going to try to just actually spiral up. Spiral up. Just get it as tight as I can as I'm spiraling up. Just working my way up on a diagonal, really. Just trying to tuck it in and get it tight. The reason you want to get it tight is as this plant dries, as this plant material dries, it's going to get smaller. And as tight as you go, sometimes you still end up with some loose threads. You see here, I have some loose threads here. Don't worry about that at all. The threads aren't even important. You can even take the threads off before you go to burn it, but I don't usually, if it's, because sometimes it helps it to light if it has that thread on there. But if it's loose and gets in your way as you're burning it, just pull it off then. You know, you don't have to worry about it now. Okay, so I have this one over here. I've got the lavender over here. I think I'm going to try to put this one on this side. So I'm going to tuck it in right now as I go. Okay? And again, I'm just going to tight and wrap. Just pulling it in as I go. I'm going to flatten that beautiful flower. Feels kind of cruel to do it, but it's beautiful as it dries. And you see what I'm talking about? You don't get it all tucked in the first pass. You see? And if some petals fall off, and they're likely to do that, stick them back in. Wherever you want. Just stick them in under the thread somewhere and make a pass. Get to the end as close as you want to get to the end. Again, I'm holding it really tight. Okay? And now I'm going to come back down. Come back down. Oh, I'm losing a lot of petals right now. It's okay. I'm going to come back down. Just grabbing what it will hold. And see, I'm crossing it in the opposite direction, coming back down. Okay? Yes. Who is? Oh, our company. I just heard. That's my husband telling me that our company is 20 minutes away. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. So, okay. So, I'm just going to go. I have enough string. I'm going to go up again. And it's not really important that you end up at the bottom. You can end up anywhere and tie it off and then add another string. If you run out of string, it's okay. But this one, I'm going to have enough. Of course, I tied my string in. There it is. My end. So I have to let it go. There we go. And I just bring my string up and tie a knot. And that's as simple as that. See, there's no rocket science to this. It's just, however you feel you can do it is the right way. There's no really right way to do it. I know people sell smudge wands for a lot of money. And sometimes you want to pay that money because you want to get, maybe you don't have, like this is California white sage, which people seem to think is terrifically magical. Maybe you don't have that near you. You can't grow it, and maybe you really want it, so you'll pay money. You'll pay money to get that, and I understand that. But remember, it's not the only thing that you can use. Okay. Now here you see. See, I just love the way this comes out. This is like I just have the colors of the pink and the yellow. I don't know. Can you see pink and the yellow from the rose there? And here's the lavender peeking through here, and here are the petals from the morning glory peeking up here. Some in the back. It's not real visible right now, but of course, again, as this plant material dries, you'll be able to see it better. And of course, when we go to burn it, it will be there. What I did want to touch on a little bit, I just wanted to give a few tips, but beforehand, before we do that, I wanted to say, I want to show you how to do something here, a little trick. Let me do this first. Magical, talking about sage being magical. Now, of course, I grow it in my yard, and it grows really well here. But want to tell you, I have another reason that I always, every time I smell it, every time I pick it up and smell it, I think, oh, it's such a magical plant. And I'll tell you why. If you saw some of my earlier videos, you might remember this little story I think I told on one of the videos, that because I have it in my yard, from time to time, you know, you mow or you're doing something in the garden there, and or even when I trim off some of the little bundles, leaves will fall off and get in the ground, you know, and oh, I never let those go into the compost pile. I always pick them up, and I usually keep a jar of just loose leaves. A bowl of loose leaves sitting around in different places, different rooms, by altars, so that if I'm in a hurry, I don't want to light a wand to smudge. I will just crumble some of the dried sage leaves and put them and burn those. Okay. Burn them on a charcoal disc. So I have a dish of this sage drying in my parlor where I do my readings, and I have one of my main altars in my home, and that room is always closed up. It's always closed up because I have cats, and I also use that room as one of my guest rooms. My 2 front rooms have beds in them for guests. So, and some of my guests are allergic to cats, so rather than going in there and laundering everything every time, and all the pillows and vacuuming all the chairs and taking down the curtains when I have people staying with me who have severe cat allergies, I tend to keep those 2 rooms cat-free. So, most of the time. I mean, they're allowed in there when I'm in there, but most of the time I keep the door closed when I'm not using the room. So, the door is closed, and I have these sage leaves drying in a bowl, and I was in there one time ready to smudge the room, and I picked up some dried leaves and crushed them and threw them onto a charcoal disc, and a moth just flew up out of the dish of leaves. Just a white moth flew up and fluttered around the room. Scared me to death at first, but then after a while I thought, oh, well, how magical that was. I don't know where that moth must have been living inside the sage. It must have been like an egg. That's all I can think of, inside the sage when the leaves were put in that dish, because it was just leaves. You'd think you would certainly notice something like as big as a moth. And it had been some time since that room had been closed up, so I hadn't been in there for a while. And it must have hatched and lived off of the sage, I don't know. But the thing that is most magical about it is, I went to tell my husband about it, and we couldn't find it had flown up onto the curtain, and we couldn't find it. We never found it. We never saw it again flying. We never found a dead moth laying around. We don't know what happened to it. So it just came up out of the leaves of sage and then vanished. It was so cool. So every time I pick up the sage, and I think of that. I think of that little moth. Anyway, this smells so wonderful. I wanted to tell you one really quick thing about smudge wands, which I don't want to insult anybody, because I know a lot of you probably know a lot more about it than I do, but I know I talked about a ritual that we used to go to every month, a public ritual here in Orange County, and before we went into the temple, of course, everybody was smudged in line as we went in, and they used to just suffer all the time about how to get they could never get it to stay lit. They're trying to smudge a line, and you know what they used, and a lot of times it was just as simple as a sage smudge wand like this, and I was always watching them to see what they would do, because I too sometimes would have trouble with these, getting them to burn. They didn't want to burn, they just kept going out. So I just want to tell you a few things that I did learn about sage wands. One thing, of course, we know when we go to, let me get a little sip of my tea. When we go to make the wands, the leaves have to be fresh. They have to be fresh, because if not, they're going to be crumbling as we try to wind them, right? So they're fresh. fresh leaves have a lot of moisture in them, like we said, and so we have to do it really nice and tight. And often we end up with something that is terrifically tight. And this is one. At the tip here, it really remained very tight. And when I would light this, anytime I would go to light it, it almost would go out right away. And this one I've gotten a little better at. But some of them, you light them and nothing really happens, okay? So I found that one thing that you can do, now that I'm showing you how they always go out, watch this one just stay lit. Okay. Whoops. Okay. What you can do, if that is the case, is sometimes when you go to light it, before you go, take the end, your beautiful wand, and tease that open a little bit. Just tease it open a little bit, wiggle it a little bit, and try to get some air in there. And you can feel it. You can feel it now that I've opened it up. There's some space in there because you see it has some give to it. If it has give to it now, that means that it has, you can get air in there. If you've ever tried to build a fire in a fireplace, you know you have to have air, right? And this thread that's starting to pull off, I'm just going to cut it. And if I want to keep it, if I'm not going to use this one for now, I can retie it right there to keep it closed. Or like I said, I could just pull it completely off. I like to keep the string on there because I had intention when I tied it on there in the first place, and I like the intention to stay in there. But anyway, you see, it's good to go. And now that I've retied the string, it's tight in there again. So if I'm going to light this one again, I might want to, again, tease that open just at the very beginning. So that's one trick. A very simple little trick, but just keeping in mind that it needs to have, any kind of fire has to have air, or it'll just smolder. Now, if I lit this, the other thing is, of course, if I lit this now, it would not burn. It would just smolder. And it might not even be that pleasant because some of these flowers that are in here, when they're fresh, might not give off quite the aroma that you think they're going to give off. Dried is another thing. Usually, I find that dried, we know that from making incense, right? That most things when they're dry are just really pleasant. Okay, now one other trick. I find that I really don't need it now, but one other trick I had my husband bring out is a charcoal disc. You see, charcoal disc here in I just have it in a shell here with some sand. If you use a charcoal disc, any kind of, to burn incense, anything that is not flammable, you can use a cup, a ceramic cup or anything. Do you see that this is still burning? It's very lovely. But one thing that I have learned, almost accidentally, is I always have something like this with sand in it available when I have my smudging, because when I want to stop the smudge, I will stick it in the sand, right? Just like you'll stick a light when you light a match, you'll stick it in the sand. But you can take this and put it on a charcoal disc. Just set it in there. Now, of course, this is hard to see because this one's already burning. Maybe I should put this one out. Try another one. Put that there. Okay. Try another one. I'll take another one, and I'll take this, and I'm going to just set that on the disc. It's just a more constant, when you're trying to use something like this or something like a match, you really can't give it enough heat, give it enough intensive heat to keep the flame going long enough to start it to smolder, because you really do want this to catch fire on the very end. For it, if it lights a little bit on the very end, you can wave that out, wave out the flame. This one's burning really good. But I've had some, now that I'm trying to show you, you see that it's not working too well. But, it's working really well. But I've had some that were really very, very difficult to start. And I've just put them on a charcoal disc. just for a few minutes, and then they really burn. Now you can see this one's doing really well. Well, no, now that I pick it up the wind is taking it out, so I'm going to leave it a little longer. It's hot enough, it will actually burn. They're not here yet, are they? Okay. That was my husband walking past. We have some friends coming over today, and I'm probably supposed to be doing chores. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here really, really quick and tell you. Now it's really going. And now I can see the very ends of it have started to burn. And you can see it's really going now. Okay? Okay, it's just a simple little trick. And you can even see the very end of it is glowing. Okay? We want to see a glow. We want to see a glow, because that means there's fire in there. And we got a really, really nice smudge on there now. Okay. And then, of course, like I said before, if you want to stop it, you can just put it in sand. I buried it in sand, and eventually that's going to just put that out, because it's stopping the air, right? It's stopping the air going from it. Sand or salt, or I don't know what else you could use. I guess some people just use dirt, I guess. I'm not sure. I like sand. Okay, so anyway, that's really all I wanted to talk to you about today. Like I said, I'm going to get on tomorrow, and I'm going to be writing a blog about some of my thoughts about Beltane and sharing that with everyone. So I'll leave the link below. It's birdinthecrone.com. I think I've been saying that a lot. Because it's a new website, and I'm trying to get people to go look at it. But anyway, but for today, you know, I'm going to be very content with this. Is a little different kind of a celebration for me. No big, no maypole this year, but I did put a maypole on my altar. If you have seen a picture of that, I'll share that in the blog. Or I might come on and do a little. I might come back and do another little video after I do that blog. I'm not sure, and talk to you about Beltane. But anyway, for now, I'm content at being outside and just enjoying nature, because it really is, wherever you are, you know, this is the time to get out and enjoy the light. We heralded that light coming in, the return of the light. The days are getting longer. The sun is out longer. Things are blooming everywhere. Even in friends of mine that live in very heavily snow areas are getting some beautiful blooms at this time of the year. So go out and enjoy it. Go out and have some. Take your shoes off if it's not too cold by you. Put your feet back on that bare ground and reconnect with Mother Earth. That's what we're. Perfect day for that. Okay, so anyway, thank you for watching. I'm sorry this is sort of maybe a little hokey video, but I wanted to try to share something that I do with you all. So, and I'd love to see if you have any of you have any good suggestions for smudging, making smudge wands. We'd love to see them. Please share them with us. So, thank you very much for coming to my channel. I wish you all the blessings of the season of Beltane. And as always, I wish you all kinds of blessings. I'm Rebecca.